The reorganizational meeting of Keystone Central School District to order. Stop for a salute to the flag and a moment of silence, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Dr. Baldino,
Here.
Mr. Cannon, Ms. Donahue, Mr. Elling,
Here.
Mr. Johnson,
Here.
Mr. Knopf,
Here.
Ms. Lynch, here, Mr. Scott,
Here.
Ms. Smith, here. 6 members present, 2 absent.
7 members.
One,
7.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Who did you miss?
Donahue.
No, there's only 6 of us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, 7.
Oh, Mr. Scott, I'm sorry, I missed you.
Yes, man, I answered you.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Didn't know you were there.
Speak louder, please.
If I spoke any louder, I'd been screaming.
I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
You're not told that way.
No.
Okay. Next, we have a list of our full board members. I think nothing, this is the first time I remember in a long time that nothing's been changed. We have the same board as we, 2024, 25, we had 23, 24. So we have that. The next thing we have is a resolution to appoint someone as temporary president. So we need a nomination to be someone to be temporary president.
I'll nominate Bill. To be the temporary.
Oh,
The board chair can appoint the pro tem.
oh. Okay. Bill, you want to do it?
Sure of it.
Okay, Dr. Baldino is going to be appointed as temporary president to conduct elections.
Can I do that from right here?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Bring it up this, we got,
We need nomination for president.
yeah, we need the I was gonna get the, try to get the resolution and everything up there. Anyway, can I have nominations for president for the upcoming year?
I'd like to nominate William Bill Baldino as president for the Keystone Central School District.
Anybody else
Anyone else?
have a nomination?
I nominate Roger Elling.
Any other nominations? Hearing none. Nominations are closed.
No, we need a
We
roll call.
vote for roll call vote, please, Christine.
Dr. Baldino,
Baldino,
Mr. Cannon, Ms. Donahue, Mr. Elling,
Myself.
Mr. Johnson,
Mr. Elling.
Mr. Knopf,
Mr. Elling,
Ms. Lynch,
Baldino,
Mr. Scott,
Baldino.
Ms. Smith, Mr. Elling. Dr. Baldino, 3, Mr. Elling, 4.
okay, nominations for vice president.
Mr. Baldino.
Any other nominations?
Mr. Knopf,
Any other nominations? Hearing none. Christine, could you ask for another vote, please?
Mr. Cannon, Ms. Donahue, Mr. Elling,
Mr. Knopf,
Mr. Johnson,
Mr. Knopf,
Mr. Knopf,
Myself.
Ms. Lynch,
Baldino,
Mr. Scaff,
Baldino,
Ms. Smith, Mr. Knopf, Dr. Baldino,
Baldino,
Mr. Knopf has 4, Dr. Baldino 3.
This is where it turns it back over to.
now Roger takes charge.
Yeah. Hey, Roger, want to move seats?
no, not really. Okay, yeah.
Take your name tag with it.
So just the way Dr. Baldino, I think to back up a little bit to
actually,
D2, you're
He
supposed to
felt-
read
he-
the resolution.
yeah,
to
I'm
elect.
trying to, I'm trying to find it here now.
So we should be on D2, resolution D1. So you should
Yeah.
read that with the
Mhm.
appropriate numbers.
Give me a second here. My computer's not cooperating. You have it there? Excuse me. All right. Resolution D1. I need a motion to approve resolution D1 to elect Mr. Roger Ellig as the KCSD Board President for the year commencing December the 12th, 2024.
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
The motion has been moved and seconded to approve the election of Mr. Roger Ellig as KCSD Board President beginning December the 12th, 2024. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion is carried.
D2.
Now we're gonna do
D2.
D2. I need a motion to approve the election of Butch Knopf. as-
No, it's Mr. Elling for the career and
Oh,
technology.
I'm sorry. There we go.
For Technology Center.
As the, I need a motion to approve. I need a motion to approve the
Vice President.
appointment of
Appointment of Mr. Elling as.
Hold on a
Mr.
second.
Ellig as the
Yeah, that's-
elected president of the CTC Board of
Dr.
School Directors.
Dr. Baldino, if I could, and I apologize for interrupting. This resolution actually has two parts to it. First is for the board to
Right.
elect the board as the board of directors for the Keystone Central Career and Technical Education Center. And then the second part of that resolution is to elect Roger Elling as the president of the board of the Career and Technical Education Center.
So we need a motion to approve resolution D2 to appoint the Keystone Central Board School Board Directors as the Keystone Central Career and Technical Center. And further resolve that the Keystone Central School District Board of School Directors appoints the let me just read it here.
Okay,
I'm not really supposed to make the motion, move this, but can I have someone move to approve resolution D2 and appoint the Keystone Central School District
I'll make. the
Board of
motion.
School Directors?
I'll second.
I'll make a motion to approve D2,
All
appointing
right.
KCSD School Board as the career technology board and Mr. Elling as the president of the
second.
Career and Technology.
All right. You get that, Christine?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mr. Scott, second.
Mr. Knopf made the motion and Mr. Scaff second. We have a voice vote, please. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The motion is carried. Uh,
Same thing for E. Well, I just make a
I'm
motion.
looking for.
This is just done by Roger now.
Um,
Going on.
We need a
Yes,
motion to
Oh, okay.
approve the
Per Roger's
election of,
rules,
Yeah.
Pro Tem is supposed to do both of them.
Mhm.
we need a motion to approve the election of Mr. Naff as the Vice President of the Keystone Central School Board Directors for the year commencing December 12th, 2024.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
The motion has been made and seconded. Ready, Christine? Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion's carried. And now we need to go to resolution E2. Be it resolved that Keystone Central School Board of Directors appoints the Keystone Central School District Board of School Directors as directors for the Keystone Central Career and Technology Center. And be it further resolved that Mr. Butchnoff serve as the elected Vice President of the CTC Board of School Directors for the year commencing December 12th, 2024. Can I have a motion to accept that resolution?
I'll accept it. I'll make the motion to accept it.
I'll second.
Second. Motion has been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? The motion carries. I think it's time for Roger to take over.
You can just sit there for now.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
We'll move afterwards.
Yeah. You don't even really have to move. So,
You could be here next to Christine.
okay. All right, so let's move on. We're looking at F1 now, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I move to approve F1, be it resolved that we
You can't
have,
make a motion,
well,
you're the
no.
chairman.
okay, what I'm,
We need a point.
we need to appoint.
These are appointments, not votes to get them.
Okay, so we're looking at adding someone on to be the PSBA liaison for Keystone Central School District. Do we have anybody willing to do that?
When was it last year?
I think,
Me.
was it Elizabeth?
No,
No, it's me.
It's you? Okay,
I would
you
like,
want to do it? Or is there anybody else?
I would like to nominate Elizabeth.
oh, no, thank you. Yes, ma'am, sir. Sorry,
Wow. Okay. Tracy?
I appreciate
I'm good.
Okay,
I'll do it.
I'll make a motion. We approve Tracy.
What does that involve?
Just get some emails. There's really not a whole lot. They just send emails, which is the same information that comes through PSBA to the school full board through their communications. If you get their daily newsletter and stuff.
Second.
okay. Okay, so Butch made a motion. Second, okay. Seconded by Chris. Okay. So, all in favor or, well, actually, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, congratulations, Tracy. Okay. Okay, be it resolved that Tracy Smith
No,
is appointed as the PSBA liaison for Keystone Central School District commencing December 12, 2024, and ending at the reorganization meeting of 2025. Okay, so next, we're looking to do the F2, okay, which is appointing Christine Taylor as the PSBA Employee Relations Contact for Keystone Central School District.
I make it.
Okay, Chris has made a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. So Butch has made a second. Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Seconded, or, bleh.
Yes, it's all right.
Yes, no, all those opposed? Okay. Good deal. All right. Okay, so what we need to do now is one is a representative to CIU 10 Board of Directors.
I'll make a motion that we approve Jeff Johnston as the IU rep.
I'll second that.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Anybody else? Okay. That being said, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Let it be resolved that Jeff is the representative to the CIU 10 Board of Directors. Okay, next, we're looking at resolution G1.
I'll make a motion, we approve G1, the board meeting dates and locations for 2025 school year.
I'll second it.
May I have discussion?
Okay, discussion?
Yes, do we have to have two meetings in December? I mean, can't we just do the reorganization meeting with the voting meeting instead of having everyone come back to the building twice? And that way, in case there's a snow day also, if we keep them both December 4th, in case we have a snow day, then we can jump to December 11th.
So, so the board knows, we set, with the exception of January, the January meeting, we set this up per the generalized board policy, which are the meetings are the first and second Thursdays. We didn't do January 9th because do January 2nd because of our first day back from vacation. We wouldn't have time to get a board agenda ready. So we just did a general version of the calendar based on what the policy says, and that policy doesn't restrict you to those days. It says generally that's when you meet the first and second Thursdays. So what the board, as you know, has done in the past is has a single meeting in June and a single meeting in December. And it's up to you all to decide whether or not you want to amend this calendar to reflect that. And we don't have to bring the calendar back necessarily. You can accept it with the changes.
I would like everyone to consider just keeping the reorganization meeting and the voting meeting both on December 4th. And then in case like we did this year, if we have a snow day or something, we always have that next Thursday to fall back on. I just think it would be better for everyone if we only had to come to the building once, since it is December, and all the staff. Is there anyone that likes the idea or dislikes the idea?
I kind of agree. I like the idea of having one
Yeah,
now, but ask me again when we're done here tonight.
Well, this is
If you remember
unusual.
the-
It is
If you
unusual.
remember the June meeting,
Mm.
I think we were a little all ready to go to bed on the
Well,
floor
that's,
that night.
they split June, which I'm so happy to see that. Yeah, it's too
Okay.
much with all this stuff going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we just need a motion to accept this with amendments, right?
Secondary motion to amend the calendar as proposed to have a single meeting in December.
So I'll make a motion, we amend the calendar to have a single meeting in December.
Second?
Seconded?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second on amending the calendar to one meeting in December,
December 4th.
on December 4th. Okay. Okay, so that being said, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay,
Now we have to approve it.
now, Okay, so now, I need a motion to approve the amended calendar.
I'll make a motion to approve the calendar as amended.
I'll second.
Okay, we have first and a second discussion. Okay. Let's, okay, so all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Motion passed. Okay, so, I need a motion to, recommend that we, approve the committee meeting schedule as shown.
I make a motion to approve resolution G2, the committee meetings.
I'll second.
All those in favor or discussion? Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Thank you. For one, this is just a carryover, okay? And since the finance and auditing committee meeting is technically, we only have a chair if it's a committee of the whole. It just seems this typo is consistent. So if you just look at the finance and audit, since it's committee of the whole, we don't appoint two other members. It's just one chair and then committee of the whole. So that's just a little typo. And then, I'm not saying I agree or disagree, but I'm just kind of curious why facilities and the finance committee November meetings were taken off for the upcoming year. Is there any reason, or is it just why the November ones aren't in there?
The fourth Tuesday is right before Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And so that, those meetings were taken off because they were in the same week as Thanksgiving.
Okay, if everyone's fine with that, I mean, I'm not saying, I just noticed, okay, thank you.
Okay. So we got the motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay,
I'll make a motion to adjourn the reorganizational meeting.
Second.
okay, motion and second. That's it. All right,
Now you switch seats, right?
Before we start.
yeah, let's take like a 5-minute break and then we'll reconvene.
Okay.
Yeah.
7:21.
Evening, everybody. Like to invite or thank you for being here for the December 12th, 2024 voting meeting. Prior to getting started here, I'd just like to let everybody know that today at between 6 and 6:53, we had an exec session to discuss legal issues. All right, now with that being said, now out of the way, let's start with a salute to the flag and a moment of silence.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, Christine, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Roll call.
I said a roll call vote.
Yeah.
Well,
Roll call.
okay, can I just get a roll call?
Dr. Baldino,
Here. Whatever.
He's a little busy.
Mr. King, Ms. Donahue,
Here.
Mr. Elling,
Here.
Mr. Johnson,
Here.
Mr. Knopf,
Here.
Ms. Lynch,
Here,
Mr. Scaff,
Here.
Ms. Smith. Here. 8 members present, 1 absent.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's move on. First up,
Hold on a minute, we gotta figure out what we're gonna add this.
you need to-
And it's G3A, G3,
okay,
or G3A, or at G5.
which,
Okay. That's it, that's what I was trying to figure out. What part of that G4. I would like to make a motion. We add a resolution to G5 under the board, and that resolution be it resolved that Keystone Central School Board District Board of Directors approve the exoneration of the 2024 school real estate tax in amount for a property, $462.17. Actually, it's the late fee penalties. It's not just exonerate the amount, it's the penalties. The property identified by control number 017025433. But again, we exonerate the penalties for this property in the amount of $462.17.
So you would
Do
like
it.
to add on G5 tax exoneration?
Yes, I would add on to G5 the
Okay.
tax exoneration.
A second.
All right, do I have a second? Okay, Tracy seconded it. Okay, with a motion and a second. All those discussion? Any discussion on this?
I'm happy it's over.
Okay, then with that being said, let's do a roll call vote on this.
I think we're just making a motion now to add it. We'll vote on it when
Well,
we get to it.
oh, okay, we're gonna, okay, that's. All right. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
What are we voting on?
To add
On-
this,
add
To
the
add-
agenda.
To agenda.
The agenda. You want him to read?
No, that's.
Okay, just, all right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're adding it. Okay, so. Move on. Okay, next up, we have a presentation, the end of year report for 2023. Johnny?
Okay, so wanted to give you a review of how we ended the 23-24 fiscal school year. So the second slide shows the budgeted amounts for your revenue and expenses versus the actuals. So our budget last year was approved at $89,377,620. The expenses actually came in under at 88,745,389. 88 million, I said it again, 88,745,389. That's a difference of $632,231. The revenues actually were over by the actual revenues in were 90,060,119. So that is a difference of revenue over budgeted at 682,499, which gave us a surplus of $1.3 million. So the next slide, this will show you how the revenues were higher than budgeted by about $1 million. Earned income tax was about 750,000 over. We think that increases, that's just the natural increase of increase in the money in due to just the increase of wages. That's, you're going to see that slightly increase every year. Business privilege can be contributed to that. That's probably still some of the back tax that we've been collecting for business privilege. I think over the years, you're going to see that level out as we have resolved a lot of the back business privilege tax issues and level out going forward. Real estate taxes, there was actually an increase of $350,000. That we actually had a slightly higher increase in the amount of people that we thought were going to pay this year. So that's actually a very good sign. Investment interest, that was, we have our CDs and we have our money market accounts. That was an estimate from last year. So we were slightly down from that by about 135,000. The IDEA revenue was down by about 100,000, as well as the summer rec and the adult ed were down by 140,000. So for me, the indications for this year, when I budget those amounts, is to take into consideration of these decreases. The state was actually, we received not as much money in, $225,000 lower. Our basic ed, we saw a slight increase of 35,000. Vocational ed subsidy was about 270,000. That was due to actually the increase in enrollment. So that's actually a really positive number. Special ed subsidy was down about 170K. Transportation was down by about 525,000. And I think this is due to less routes. I think where parents are driving their students, so there are less kids on the bus, which affects your subsidy. And then other subsidies were also lower. We get reimbursed for retirement and social security. So those revenues were slightly down due to we didn't have all of our jobs filled for the whole year. So you're going to, if you aren't paying the wages, you aren't getting that 50% retirement and social security subsidy back. And then the federal budget was slightly down because you're going to see, as we've talked about before, that slight decrease in title money, Title 1, 2, and 4. And that's down by about 110. Go ahead and go to the next slide. This is where we were actually under budget for expenses by by 632,231. Contracted services, however, were over. That's the legal contracted services, King Spry, special ed, tax office, those types of services were over by 155,000. Charter and cyber school tuition, we saw an increase there by 2.1 million. That's just the increase in tuition rates and also the increase in some of the students from month to month. What we did see a decrease or less expense to budget was contracted services. This was primarily due to not being able to get special ed services. They just weren't out there. So we budgeted to get some of the services, therapy and speech and so forth, but we just couldn't obtain those services. The IU didn't provide them and we couldn't find any external companies as well. Repairs and maintenance was down by 130,000. We budget a number that we pretty much every year to year, and we were down by about 130,000. The capital fund transfer, we did not transfer as much to the capital fund as we had budgeted to this year. We watched that closely, depending on how our revenues and our expenses are and the needs for the capital fund. So that's just money that we didn't transfer over. The copier lease, I don't know if you remember, but we renegotiated a copier lease. I know it's only 5K, but I thought that was a good number to put in here, that we are looking at leases and we're, looking at all of our contracts, auditing services. We did just bid out again insurances. So I just put that in there. So to let you know, we are overseeing all of those things. If we can come up, renegotiate any new contracts, that we will do that. And our auditing services as a whole was down by 20,000. So that left us at 632,231 of under predicted expenses. So the next page then is our recommendation from the administration for 2023-24 fiscal year of that surplus of about 1.3. We've identified, speaking with property services supervisor and Frank, we've identified a couple of projects for Fund 32 that will go to the finance meeting in January and then come to the board for approval as well. But this is where administration would recommend the surplus to be used. Any questions?
On the bottom one there for the tennis courts, 500,000.
Mhm.
Does the municipality help out with those? Because they're used a lot by the public, are they not? You're shaking your head, yeah.
So no, we're not asking the municipalities to help with refinishing of the tennis courts. It's a district asset and we're responsible for maintenance and upkeep.
Okay. I was just curious because I know that I was told a lot of public uses that, so that's why I was wondering.
Still our responsibility.
May I add to that, please?
Good.
Thank you. This is going on year 4, and I've requested that the facilities committee consider going for a DCNR grant and do an MOU with the local municipality. So we could go after DCNR grant, C2P2 grant, to offset this cost. And every year, the conversation doesn't go anywhere. So I'm just putting it out there again. It's an opportunity, since we do allow the public to use them, and they are an asset to all the neighborhoods.
Okay, we looked into that. And we found we're not eligible, but the municipality were. So I thought we had some people from municipality we talked to, and they were going to pursue it, especially not the tennis courts. We were talking primarily about the court that's used at the middle school for pickleball. We talked about that one.
Yeah, Yeah.
You're absolutely correct. 2 years ago, there was a sort of a kickoff conversation, but it wasn't a priority, so the conversation stopped. So there is interest out there probably still, but again, the conversation stopped. And I'm just bringing it up again, so if there's any interest in
okay,
looking into that.
thank you.
And then I had
All right,
something else.
okay.
For this I'm really curious. When you go into the income on it's PDF page 3, 2023-24 revenue actual to budget. We've never requested this for reasons, but now I'm requesting it for the finance committee for January. If we could look at the last 2 years of all of the taxes that we collect through the tax office. And if it could be, each category could be broken down into 2 different subsections. One section would be what I would call expected taxes, the person that pays every year. And then the column next to it will be what I call recovered. So we can see what is expected and what is actually been recovered. In other words, someone wasn't paying their taxes and now they've been found and they're paying their taxes. So that way we can move forward to know and have a better idea of what is actually expected and what part of that is recovered. So I'm requesting that go to the finance committee
Okay,
for January.
that's something that would be discussed in
Well-
a finance committee. So,
To put it on the to put it on the agenda.
all right. Go ahead, Joni.
Okay, any
Okay.
other questions regarding the end of year report? No? Okay,
Go ahead. You want to do the
absolutely,
budget timeline, please?
absolutely. So you see that here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So every year we do a timeline of when to expect a 25-26 balanced budget. And we just follow the scheduled meetings. The December 5th should be December 12th. Further down on the agenda, there is the not to exceed resolution 153, not to exceed beyond the Act 1 index, which is 7.1. So that resolution's down further. There's no plans to ask for anything to exceed the Act 1 index rate. March 13th is where you will preview the general fund budget. The 10th is where you will review a general fund actual budget numbers and post for public inspection. May 8th, the board will adopt a proposed final budget, and then on June 12th, the board will adopt a final budget for 25-26. Questions? Okay.
I have one. I just want to clarify something.
Mhm.
So the resolution we're voting on tonight
Mhm.
is not saying we're going to raise taxes to the index 7.1.
Correct.
Because all we have to do is tell the state we're not going to raise it or not to exceed that number. It's
Correct.
not saying we're going to raise taxes to 7.1, but we have to tell the state we're not going to exceed that.
Yes, we're not indicating any tax increase, a partial, any type of increase, percent, millage, nothing like that. We just have to send to PDE a resolution that we are not going to request taxes above the index of 7.1%.
And this is something we do every year at this
We
time.
do.
It's just a
Standard.
Absolutely.
standard,
PD requires it every year. The due date is February, I think, 8th.
right?
And after tonight, the resolution will be signed and it'll be uploaded to PD tomorrow.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, thank you. Okay. Next up, we have the hearing of visitors. Okay. Well, before we get started, okay, visitor, I have to read this. Visitors wishing to address the Board of School Directors on topics of public interest are welcome to do so at this time. We request, oh, okay. Okay, so we got the updated version here. Okay, the Keystone Central Board of Directors encourages public comment from its citizens. Each community member may speak for a period no longer than 4 minutes per board policy. Please understand that this is not a time for dialogue with the board. Rather, the board will listen to all comments and consider them in future deliberations. Our individual email addresses are on the website if you'd like to contact your individual board representative. And we ask that you please direct complaints of a personal nature regarding an individual employee directly to the superintendent. Okay, so with that being said, first up, we have Jennifer Marshall and Jalen. Just come on up here. It's 4 minutes home. Yeah, because they're signed up both.
So we asked to speak because we wanted to address Title IX.
Could you speak into that microphone so we can hear you?
You can move it.
So we wanted to really address Title IX and how the process goes. About a month and a half ago, there was an incident. We reported it. My daughter came out feeling unheard. Her friends have been reporting the incident for months before her, feeling unheard. Nobody took action until my daughter had to go down and divulge every bit of her soul to everybody down there.
Sorry, what are we talking about?
Title IX. The investigation, it was a month, it's a month and a half, and we still have no resolution. And the whole time, my daughter is unheard. And the school's not doing anything. So she has her own statement. I'm gonna let her go. But just so you guys are aware, it's very frustrating to go through Title IX.
Okay.
You can move that microphone over in front of you instead of moving your chair.
Actually, I want to talk about more than just Title IX, but rather about how the school goes about handling situations that are brought forward by the students. About 3 months ago, my friend Brianna reported something important to the school, including herself, my friend group, and I. However, upon reporting it, nothing was done. She reported it again, and not long after, once again, nothing was done. Finally, she pleaded with me and got me to report my case, and finally things were done. But the situation, it brought to light that I realized that there's past situations where the school has also not been hearing the students, because I don't know if you guys know, but 2 years ago, there was a girl and she reported harassment to her teachers and to higher ups, and nothing was done. And because she felt that she wasn't being defended by the school, she felt that she had to defend herself. And it put herself and the student in harm's way. And so I think that something should be done, that the school should listen to its students better, because the school asks us to trust them, confide in them, and come to them for help. But when we do, we are not heard. We are invalidated, and we are left feeling helpless. So if the school wants us to trust them, they need to show that they can be trusted.
Who does our Title IX?
We have a couple of Title IX officers. Christina Manning is one of them, and Justin Heaney is another.
I'm gonna ask you to get on this. Get it,
Okay.
Yeah,
get it handled.
I appreciate
Report
it.
back to us, please.
All right.
I mean, to be honest, we did voice how we were feeling to the investigator. She pulled my daughter down, had a second conversation with her, and we came up with the same resolution, still unheard, still invalidated. She felt like she was losing her mind through the entire investigation.
Okay.
So
Okay.
so I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
feel like
Alright.
something needs to be done further than just Title IX. It's for everybody.
Okay,
Because so
well,
many students in that school go unheard because they try to confide in the adults there. And in return, they feel unheard and unjustified. And I speak for myself, my friends, and the rest of the student body when I say that.
thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Thank you for your
Yes.
strength in coming to us. I have no idea.
Yeah.
No idea.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next up, we have Dennis Eck. Or Denise, sorry. Dennis, Denise, Dennis. Dennis?
Well, what if they can't unmute?
Did this person sign up online? He called
We
in.
called in.
Do we have his number?
We don't have
Well,
anyone
no.
logged in
He's
under
not
that
logged
name.
in.
Okay.
If there's
Okay,
if there's
so-
anyone online with that name, would you please indicate by raising your hand on the screen so that our technology department can unmute you?
Well, yeah.
Okay, you tried.
Okay,
You tried.
next up, Mala Moore. Mela, all right. I stink at names, obviously.
I'm here tonight as a citizen of Clinton County to ask that you vote no to G4. The reason being, I also am a TCC delegate of Green Township and was just newly elected as the TCC secretary as of last night. So we have had many meetings. We're trying to regroup. We're trying to learn our process. And we need you guys to come along and partner with us. We want to go through this process. I know it's outsourcing means, oh, we'll save money, but I want to see this kept in Clinton County. We're a school, you know, I'm looking at your vision, preparing citizens for the challenges and opportunities of the future. We need jobs here in Clinton County. We need our kids to want to stay in Clinton County. We definitely need you. We're the TCC starting over. We have some new leadership and we're trying to learn this process. We're trying to get regrouped. We had 12 people at our first meeting after we learned August 6th that there was proposals out there. That was the first time we ever learned of it. And September 6th, we were expected to vote on it. 12 delegates voted to table it. I wish we would have just voted no, like you had the opportunity to do tonight, because it haunted us for months and months until we did finally put it to rest. I believe the end of November, it was voted to put it to rest. And what our goal is to get reset up. Like I said, we have a new chairman, a new vice, new secretary. We want to get a solicitor that will help us with our bylaws. We want to just regroup. We want to look at proposals, but it lets an opportunity there for everyone to look at these proposals. I mean, yeah, maybe you're the highest right now, but maybe there's some negotiating that can be done between you and us. We'd also like to see for the future that you have a TCC delegate that is one of you, somebody that we can partner with together. You guys are chosen by citizens of your jurisdiction. They're expecting you to look into this stuff. They're expecting you to not just say, oh, the cost is cheaper. They want you to look into it, find out. That's what we're doing. We're finding out, getting educated, finding out what other options are out there. I'm going to take It's a Wonderful Life. If citizens are living, working, and dying in this community, they should have the opportunity to see where their taxes are going to go, where they're going to get paid at. Who likes calling Comcast? No one. because Comcast, you do not get anybody on the phone. So the tax office is right here in our community. That's where it should belong, in our community. And our kids, okay, the students, what do we tell them to do? We tell them to study, research, do your homework. That's what I'm asking you as a board to do. Do your homework, put this on hold, say no to it for now, and let the TC delegates do their job. We can work together and try to get through this process. There's no hurry about it. And that's what the delegates decided back in September. There is no hurry about this. We want to learn from it. So please say no. But also we want our grandchildren and our children to stay in this community. And by staying, we don't want to keep taking jobs out of here. We have kids that could be working here.
Okay, Mala, can
Yep.
you kind of
Oh,
finish up a little and?
yep. Did you
Okay,
not hear
or-
me? Do I have to start over?
No, what I'm saying is, please, can you sum up what you're
Okay.
looking at,
So
please?
my goal is to say no to G4 for tonight. And that by that, we could help, we could bond together. We could get maybe meetings together with TCC delegates. There's 12 of us that turned out. There's going to be more. In January, they're going to do their new delegates. I'm secretary, so I'm going to step it up, make sure there's paperwork out there. That's the sum up,
Okay,
is to give us time to work on this.
Thank
all
you.
right, thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Okay, next up, Brandon.
Evening, everyone. My name is Brandon Coleman. I'm a Castaic Township Supervisor and also the Castaic Township's current delegate to the Clinton County Tax Collection Committee. I'm here tonight to talk to you on your board agenda item dealing with the tax collection with your tax office. Over the past several months, the TCC has been meeting to evaluate the information that was given to us by Nick Grimes. I appreciate this information because I feel that he's doing his job by notifying the TCC and his supervisors that there's a high commission cost for Keystone Central Tax Office to do the job they're doing. Unfortunately, he's been criticized and villainized for what he's done, and that's not right in what he's brought out. I ask you, why wasn't it brought up in earlier years? The information that he's shown us that we're paying a higher than most commission rate to Keystone Central Tax Office to collect the EIT tax for the municipalities. While educating myself during this time, I've been looking at my role as a Castaic Township Supervisor and a TCC delegate. I've found that there's other options that need to be looked into and issues to be taken care of. The TCC at this time has taken several forward steps to evaluate this. However, in the end, we're understanding that the weighted vote and the current bylaws show that the school district or the school board has the ultimate vote in the end. At our last TCC meeting, we met with our solicitor, Jason Confair, who is new. Mr. Confair gave us a presentation with information that I'm going to share with you. One, he advises that Keystone Central School Board holds 58.44% of the vote. He advises the tax office commission rate is the highest in the Commonwealth at 5%. So we're number one in something. Keystone Central Tax Office does not do a SOC audit, which is required by Act 32. The software is outdated and needs to be updated, which is probably several $100,000 to do. The office fails to provide proper protection from spy and ransomware. The office is typically staffed by 5 positions and currently only filled by 2. The office distributes money monthly, and the office does distribute distributes and does a paper check refund. So where do we go from here? We find a company that provides tax collection at a better rate, create more income for the municipalities. We have had proposals in the past for 1.9. We find a company that meets the requirements of Act 32 and it can do a SOC audit, which is required. We find a company that's using current software. We find a company with the proper protections and insurance to cover any type of spywares or ransomwares. We find a company that's fully staffed and save the hiring a Keystone Central School District from hiring more people and maybe later have to look to repositioning or furloughing those individuals. We find a company that does a weekly distribution electronically, so municipalities have a greater chance to increase our earnings with the funds and keep from having late interest payments or entities having that increase when the process is not done in a timely manner by the tax office. With all this being said, I have a question: should Keystone Central be in the business of collecting taxes for the TCC? Seeing your last month's meeting on the agenda tonight, you have a question raised about back payment to the district because the TCC did not have the funds in the past. This shows that even with a 5% commission, Keystone Central still cannot do collections on the current contracted amount. In the end, it is you, the Keystone Board, that needs to make the right choice. You have a fiduciary responsibility to do the best with your taxpayers' money. Just for Castanea Township, I have found that going to a lower commission rate, another contractor, or Keystone Central being in a similar, that has already been quoted, would be approximately $4,600 more of my taxpayer, Castanea Township's taxpayers' money to put back in to work for my taxpayers in Castanea Township at the lower commission. This amount is about 6 months of Castanea's equipment and vehicle operation cost. I believe that Keystone Central Board needs to do the right thing with the taxpayers and discuss and vote on giving KCSD the official notice to terminate the contract with the TCC within 60, 90 days. Doing this at tonight's meeting is important because it's starting the new tax year and saving you from several costly expenses in the next few months. I watch and listen to all your meetings online, and the consistent thing I hear from the members is that you guys all want to do the best by the taxpayers' money. I'll even quote Mr. Scaff from in the past at one of his meetings saying that we are here and should be in the business of educating kids. Here's your choice tonight, Board. To be honest, show if you're about saving taxpayers' money.
Brandon,
Thank you.
thank you.
Damn it. Nice talk.
Wasn't it though? Okay. All right, so. He's also actually. Okay, next up, we have the superintendent's report.
All right, I have quite a few things on here, so I'm going to go kind of quick. First off, KCSD received a $190 donation from the Beach Creek Wesleyan Church for our weekend backpack program and KCSD's Care Closet. So thank you very much to the Beach Creek Wesleyan Church for supporting our students and families in need.
Very good.
The Keystone Central School District has been awarded $173,618 in PCCD safety and security funding for a new phone communication system for Mill Hall Elementary that will give them capability to call and send messages in case of emergencies. The current system does not allow to do that for us. So I thank Randy and his team for writing the grant, and I'm really thankful that we were awarded that so we can improve the safety and security at Mill Hall Elementary. It's the season for winter concerts. You should all have access to the district calendar. A lot of them are happening right now. Mr. Umbenhauer in the back there just came from the concert that was hosted here for Liberty Curtin Elementary School. Tuesday was the Central Mountain High School Band and Orchestra. Last night was Central Mountain Middle School Band and Orchestra. Tonight is Liberty Curtin, but it was also Bucktails concert. Tomorrow at 5:30, Robb Elementary's performance is at the East Main Street parking lot in Lock Haven. Monday night is Renova Elementary and Central Mountain High School and Central Mountain Middle School choir concerts. It's a very busy time of year, lots of things going on. I encourage the board and the community to come out and see our very talented students and support what we're doing in our schools, especially around the arts. We are being noticed for our leadership in the region. Groups from outside of our district are beginning to come to see us, to see how we are doing our work to support students. Everything from presenting about our MTSS implementation at statewide conferences, to providing advice to CTC internships to legislators, to having nearby districts come to learn how we are implementing curriculum. Our growing excellence is being recognized around the state. Next Thursday at 6 o'clock is our first board member constituency meeting. Tracy, Jeff, and I will be at the Dunston Fire Company to welcome KCSD Regions 4 and 5 residents. That is Dunstable, Wayne, Pine Creek to Lock Haven, First Ward, Woodward, and Colebrook Townships And the meeting is just to have an open conversation about anything that that chunk of our community is interested in talking to their board members and myself about. On January 7th, Chris and I are hosting part of Region 1, that's Green, Logan, and Porter Townships and Loganton Borough at the Green Township Municipal Building. But because the region is so large and spread out, we're doing another meeting on Monday, the 13th at the Nittany Valley Fire Company.
Yeah.
So those
160.
his 4 areas can choose whichever one of those 2 they would like to go to have a chance to talk to Chris and myself. The rest of the board hopefully will have scheduled out over the next few months so that we can get into every region. So all of our community members have a chance to talk one-on-one or one on a couple, I guess, to their elected board members and myself. Also, so that you know, next year, 4 board members' terms expire. So Elizabeth in Region 2, Tracy in Region 5, Roger in Region 7, and Butch in Region 9. Just so that the board members are aware, as well as the rest of the community, the first day to file and circulate nomination petitions is February 18th, 2025, and the municipal primary is May 20th. Pennsylvania School Board Association, or PSBA, is offering a school board candidate webinar on January 15th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. We will have more information posted on our website in the board section of our website. And you can always call our office at 570-893-4900, extension 2325. Christine loves talking to folks. And we will also push out the information on our social media platforms. Last thing on my list, the holidays are coming up, so that the board and the community knows the school district and school offices will be closed from December 20th through January 1st. Most administrators will continue to answer emails and take care of emergency situations as they come up. There's a lot.
Could you say
Alrighty.
it faster?
Probably, but no one will be able to understand.
So, all right, thank you very much. Okay, next up, committee reports. Polly, are you able to give the curricular, co-curricular?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, thank you.
So we met, oh, I can't, the 19th, I think it was. We talked about the course catalog. The main thing we talked about was the new CTC program for biotechnology, which would combine, I think, health occupations and science because of the amount of interest that we have in those 2 courses. We also talked about the Empowered Living Career Prep course for the students that are 12 and older, which gives them developmental life skills for after school and into adulthood. That's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you. Next up is personnel. Tracy?
We met November 26th. Later on in the agenda, and K2 under personnel, we're going to see an item about a teacher who would like to pretty much drop her special education certification. She's been here, she taught for the previous 2 years.
2 years.
2
she's
years.
not been-
And so, but it's a requirement to automatically be able to drop that certification. She would have need to have taught within the last 5 years, for the last 5 years. So, because that's not the case, it's up to the board whether or not we allow her to drop that certification. So we'll discuss that later in K2. And that's it.
Okay. All righty, thank you very much. Okay, next up, treasurer's report. Anybody have any questions on that? Okay, financial reports, any questions? Enrollment reports, any questions on that? Okay, so next up is the tax office billing. Okay, this is you wanna,
Oh,
Can they be
Our-
unmuted?
our technology folk, person just stepped out for a moment and he has the ability to put the presentation up. Megan should be able to help out with that.
go Megan, go Megan. There's Adam. And need John. There we go. All right, Adam, can you hear us?
I can.
Okay. John, can you hear us?
I can.
All right, great. You guys want to go ahead and kind of discuss this?
Ask questions.
Let us.
Yeah, we're here. I'm John Compton. With me tonight is Adam. We're auditors with Baker Tilly, and we have heard through Joni and Nick there that there were some questions regarding some rental charges from prior years between the district and the tax office, and I believe there were some supplies involved there as well. So we're here to answer whatever questions you folks might have as it relates to those items.
Okay. All right. We have a couple questions for you. I hope you guys can answer these. Okay, go ahead, Chris.
I brought up the question of why we were paying bills for 21 through essentially the end of 23. And we were advised that checks were bounced from the TCC to the school. I'm curious as to how that could have happened and what the dates were. What year were the checks bounced in? Joni, do you know?
Microphone, please.
I can step up to the table if you'd like to answer some of the questions that.
Okay.
If you'd like.
Please. Watch your head.
Yeah, make sure I don't hit my head while I'm trying to find stuff here.
So to be clear, it wasn't the TCC, it was the tax office from the tax office
Okay.
fund. The TCC is a separate entity and they don't pay any of those
All right, so the
expenses.
tax office.
And it was one check. I'm trying to find the date of the check here.
We were given 3 different dates for 3 years.
Those are the years that are due and payable. There was 1 year that was paid where the check bounced. Oh, actually, I can say that was March of 22 because it was within my first week here.
Okay.
So that was the date that the check was issued. The tax office has always been invoiced for rent at a rate of $1,000 per week, $52,000 per year, and then $2,000 for supplies per year, $2,000 per year for supplies.
I'm sorry, could you, who's making the invoice?
The general fund invoices the tax office for rent and for supplies.
Is there a contract or something? I mean, you're just moving money from one account to another like you do with all of our other accounts, but this one has a contract or an invoice. We're trying to understand why you would do it as a bill to pay. That's why we have to ask the auditor. How can there be a bill to be paid when they're moving money to cover their staff who's doing Keystone Central School District work? I don't understand how you can make an invoice if there's no bill, there's no contract, but they're just paying their employees like they would pay any other employees. But please, you concentrate on his question first, please.
Yeah, I'm curious because Joni stated she was not here when that happened. But now you're saying it was in 22 and Joni was here in 22. So how did we bounce a check? Because when I asked about it, she said, I don't know, I wasn't here.
Joni was not here in March of 22.
Well, I'm sorry, she signed a contract in June of 21 as part of that.
I was not here in March of 22. I had left this district for 9 months. I wasn't here when that check.
Well,
There was a
there's-
previous business manager and a previous tax office supervisor at that time.
Okay, because there was a paper and I'd have to dig in here to find it. That said that on June 1st of
21,
21.
I was here
signed
then.
by you.
I was here then, yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so you left between then and 22?
I left in March.
Okay, I
came
didn't
back in
understand.
November.
I'm
Mhm.
not calling you out,
It's
but
okay.
I can't believe that we could bounce a check.
I was not here at the time when the check was cut. I believe they probably thought there was funds in the account to cover the expenses. Then apparently there wasn't, and it was from the tax office to the school district. They're two separate accounts, two separate funds. And the
Okay.
auditors can probably speak on that from an auditing standpoint. Their general fund and the tax office fund are two separate funds.
Well, like I said last month, when we're asked to pass payments for 3 previous years of $2,000 each for supplies,
Mhm.
and then for rent of 3,000 or 5,000, $50,000
Mhm.
for 3 separate years, that's $156,000. I refuse to sign off on that because we weren't even here then. I just want to know how all that could happen. That's it.
Yes, we're trying-
Something was mismanaged somewhere.
Elizabeth. hold on.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Thank you, Baker Tilly team. That's our question. Okay. Keith,
Yeah, I can speak to, in terms of the audit itself and the audit of the tax office. The tax office's financial statement is prepared on what we refer to as the cash basis of accounting.
Sure.
Simply put, it means revenue equals monies that we have received and expenditures equals monies that we have paid out. That's a requirement that's under Act 32, which was the legislation that went into play probably a dozen or so years ago, regarding the type of audit that's required for the tax office. If the amount has been billed, or even if it had been billed and hadn't been paid, it would not be included in the tax office's audit, because of this cash basis of accounting. Now, on the district side, the district follows the accrual basis of accounting, meaning you recognize revenues when they're earned, whether or not they've been received, and you recognize your expenses as they're incurred, whether you paid them or not. On the district side, and I hear the comment regarding 50,000 over 3 years is $150,000. 50,000 in the context of the district's financial statements on an annual basis it's not material. It's probably Joni was showing the revenue numbers for the district a moment ago. I think it's approximately 90 million. 50,000 of 90 million is 0.0005 of 1% of those total revenues. So if there was anywhere this should have been picked up, it would have been on the district side. But in that context, it's not a material item.
okay, fair enough.
Does that make sense?
Well, yes, it does. So, and I understand that. I mean, I understand that, but here's the question. As a school board member, we get a list of bills to pay. And they do a good job. It shows what category, a brief description, the check number, and when the item actually took place. So how can we as school board members approve bills from 3, 2, and 1 year ago in closed years, and they're bills to pay, but there's no invoice to match the bill? How is that possible?
It's a great question. In the accounting world, there's this concept of what we call exchange transactions. I don't believe that a formal lease existed between
No,
the
there's no
district and the
contract.
tax office. I think
No
that was
contract, no
a
lease.
year-to-year type of thing. So if it wasn't billed, you wouldn't have something to approve because there would have been no bill there. Sitting here today and looking back and saying, okay, I'm being asked to approve payment for something that took place in prior years. Should I do it or not? We would look to the fact that the tax office had used that space during that time frame. Following this exchange transaction concept of accounting, there was a service or space provided. So the fact that even though it's several years after the fact that the district would be pursuing this, I think it's a valid payable from the tax office to the school district. Whether the district wants to continue to pursue it, that's another question. But I don't think there would be anything improper about these payments being approved at this point in time. We wouldn't question it as auditors.
Good, okay. Okay. And my next question is, and trust me, I'm very happy with everything I've ever read from your company, so please.
Thank you.
Take that in mind. I really enjoy your presentations when they happen. But my question is, I didn't notice this before, but in our contract, it says that you use substitute aides to do some of your work for, is that a standard operating practice that I just missed, or is when you have
We've never used other personnel on Keystone Central's accounts. That's standard line. Baker Tilly is a big company. We're the 10th largest accounting firm in the United States. Bigger cities, bigger offices might substitute personnel in as necessary. We've not done that with Keystone Central.
Okay, so Baker Tilly never had substitutes in our school. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Anything else? No? Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, next up, resolution 144. Okay, this is a discussion regarding the appointment of the KCSD delegates to the TCC. That was approved on February 8th of 2024. Okay, discussion?
Well, what I'm sort of confused. Is this an opportunity to do it for 2025, or are we going to discuss, what would you want us to just, so I know how to speak?
Okay, so here's last meeting, you asked us to put this on.
Okay, thank you.
So I put it on here for an item of discussion.
Thank you. Okay. All right, thank you.
Go ahead.
Yes. I like what Bald Eagle School District does and other school districts for their TCC. School board members fill these positions, and it makes sense. And it makes sense to me from what I've observed. We have a mid-level employee who's stuck in the middle. They're stuck in the middle. They can't really fully participate at the TCC meeting because they own 58% of the vote. So it's a very uncomfortable situation for that employee. And I can also say this, I think moving forward, our delegates here have expressed what I've been seeing since I've been going to all their meetings since August. They are ready to move forward. They're ready to get rid of the weighted vote. They want the freedom to do everything in public and transparent. And I feel that the delegate that we have, I think it would be more beneficial from, especially the vote they had last night, if we put a school board member, delegate, alternate, and then the second alternate would be our school board treasurer, Joni. I think that would really help with the culture. It would help bridge this partnership. We need to get past all this stuff. We need to move forward. And then whatever TCC decides to do, we need to stand there next to them and do it in the public the right way. So I feel that having a board member there would open up communication. And it would show TCC that we support them. And we apologize for what they've been put through for the last 6 months. So I would like to make a motion that we amend this and change the voting delegate.
Okay. Is there a second to this motion?
I'll second that.
Okay. So please explain the motion,
Yes,
just so everybody is clear.
thank you. And if I worded incorrectly, you're gonna support me and get the words right. The motion is to amend the February 8th, 2024 Resolution 144. Remove Christy Serafini Brooks from the voting delegate. Remove first alternate Joni McIntyre, business manager. That's the first motion. With the understanding, a second motion will take place
Okay.
to replace those individuals.
Okay, so to repeat what has just been said, the motion is to open up this and remove the voting delegate and the first alternate voting delegate. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Dis-
I did, yeah.
Discussion,
I mean, since it was read.
Yeah.
discussion. No discussion?
To agree with Elizabeth, I think it would be better if we had board members on this entity.
Okay,
I have a question.
go ahead.
Would this be a moot point if we move on G4, the tax office operations, and or we do away with the
No,
tax?
the board would still have to have
We still have to
the
have a
TCC delegate.
Okay.
Oh, we definitely want to represent it. But thank you for asking, Butch. I can see the connection there. Mhm.
Okay, so it's been, motion has been moved and seconded. Okay, discussion. Okay, with that being, well, we'll have to wait until we actually do the voting. Or do we do that now? Well, okay, so we have a motion and a second. All right, so motion and a second, okay. We do a roll call vote, Chris?
Ms. Donahue,
Yes.
Mr. Elling,
No.
Mr. Johnson,
No.
Mr. Knopf,
No.
Ms. Lynch,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Ms. Smith? No. Dr. Baldino?
Yes.
Mr. Cannon?
Tie vote, okay, with a tie vote. Motion fails. Okay. Let's see. All right, so. Let's move on. Okay, for the resolution 153 not to exceed index. Okay. That's what Joni has talked to us about. How, we say we're not going to go above the 7.1? We're not going to go above that 7.1% increase, but that doesn't mean we're going to the 7.1. Doesn't mean we're even going to take action on it. No tax increase. It's possible. So, does anybody have any questions on this?
I'll make a motion that we pass resolution 153 not to exceed the index.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion and second. Yeah, I know. But who said it first? Okay, Jeff got
Yes, I
it.
did.
But I'm trying to be fair. All right. Motion and a second discussion. Okay, no discussion. Okay, let's go ahead and make a, let's go ahead and, yeah,
Voice vote.
we can do a voice.
Voice vote.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. All right, so moving on. Next is tax settlement.
I'll make a motion, we approve G2 tax settlement, taxpayer 120520224A. Authorize the tax office to enter into an appropriate settlement agreement.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Voice vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passes. Okay. Mr. Knopf, you want to move?
I'll make a motion, we approve G3, it's a donation of a 2011 Toyota Sienna minivan to
I'll
the
second it.
CTC program.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
G4. I'll make a motion that the KCS board vote to no longer provide tax collection services to the Clinton County Tax Collection Committee as soon as practical.
Okay, I've got a motion. I have a second.
I'll second it.
Okay. Discussion?
Yeah, I've got some discussion on that.
Go ahead.
In response to both with Mela and Brandon. Brandon is correct. I fully believe we have a responsibility to the taxpayers. We have a responsibility to the students. This whole tax office thing was done upside down and backwards in every way wrong that you can imagine. The contracts were made, things were done, and then it came to us to close the tax office. There's been no discussion between the TCC committees and the board. That should have been the first thing that happened. The TCC and the board should have got together and said, hey, let's discuss this, look at our options. I think it's wrong that right now we're looking at shutting it down, and us as a board have had no discussion whatsoever on what options we have, what we can do. We've done nothing, absolutely nothing, and we're just gonna shut it down. We still have employees in that office. We have one on the personnel list tonight that we want to make a supervisor, but yet we're shutting the office down. That's backwards.
That's cruel.
What we should have done,
Inaccurate, but go ahead.
what, is she on the personnel list to move as a tax supervisor?
We would
Yes,
still-
she
We would
is.
still need that position going forward, no matter what we did with the.
Well,
tax collection
if we're
office.
gonna move the tax collections completely out, then she won't have a job.
That's not exactly how it works. And that, I know
Well,
it's been explained, it was a while. ago
I'm
that we
gonna,
explained that
I'm
to
gonna
them.
tell you this, because this ended up in my mailbox today. The TCC tax officer, the TCC chair, has willingly withheld vital information from you, the KCSD board members and other tax collection agencies. I have the emails. March 22nd, Nick Grimes emailed Keystone Collections to begin the initial steps to appoint a new EIT collections agency. March 28th, Nick Grimes secretly announces another proposal coming from Berkheimer and states KCSD administration is 100% on board with the options.
You never told us.
April 5th,
You never told us.
Nick Grimes requested KC, which I don't, that must be Keystone Collections, yes. Changed their flat rate percentage to a blended commission, and I quote, helped to convince the school district, and stated, I do not want to delay things. May 6th, Keystone Collections responds to Nick Grimes and states they can change their commission to a blended quote. The key here in this question from Keystone Collections to Nick Grimes, have you requested a blended quote from the other major collectors supplying a bid as well? That same day on May 6th, Nick Grimes responded with this. Berkheimer responded with a quote that was a flat rate and not a blended rate. That should not even be discussed between people bidding. It's really up to you if you would like to provide both options, just a blended or a flat rate. Nick Grimes also stated, just a reminder, please supply this quote to me via email as the staff is still in the dark at this point. Question, did Nick answer Casey's question? May 6th, Nick Grimes informed Joni McIntyre and Christy Serafini Brooks that Keystone Collections and Berkheimer should have their bids in soon and request to discuss this with them. Another email tells Joni and Christy to know this information is still confidential, and regarding the software issue, he also redirected a comment from IT, quote, I was able to redirect that comment, but I just want to be careful about what rumors are spread. On May 6th, Nick Grimes emailed Joni and Christy stating any changes on tax collection is a TCC decision and not a school board decision, even if his plan is included taxes not governed by the TCC. And I'm not going to read them all. But then 6 months later, Christie sent an email to Clinton County government requesting an EIT proposal 6 months after Nick contacted Keystone Collections. Now, if this had been done right, the board,
Elizabeth, calm down.
the members of TCC and our board would have started discussions first. What's best for everybody? Then we would have discussed, found out, yeah, we're going to close let's talk about closing the office. But in the meantime, we've had people move to other jobs, been bailed out and leaving. And now tonight we have to make a decision to close that office and put people out of work. And we have not even discussed any options whatsoever what we can do. I went to a couple of the TCC meetings. They're spending a lot of money and a lot of time trying to revamp the whole thing to get it to work for everybody. If they can do it and save money for the taxpayers, and it comes back to the taxpayers, I'm all for that, 100%. But at this time, I think this needs tabled until we discuss options and give them the chance to do what they need to do to get in line so that we can all come together, because we might be able to do it cheaper. We might not, but we haven't even discussed it. That's all I got to say.
Elizabeth?
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. And to whoever sent you that, it wasn't me. I had nothing to do with it. But whoever sent it, thank you. There's been a lot of misinformation, strategically misrepresented figures. I've spent hundreds and hundreds of hours. We don't have any finance pages. We don't see any reports, even though we're supposed to be getting reports. We haven't compared any figures. We have no idea how much money is coming in for each category, how much was recently recovered. We know nothing. You folks didn't even, I couldn't even convince you that, yes, the school board is in charge of the tax office. So now you know this. Now you know that these people have been hurt. They have been lied to, manipulated. And now they're asking to be our partner. Are we gonna be Keystone the steamrollers? Are we gonna be Keystone the bridge builders and the partners? You folks, if you can't wait 1 year, maybe 6 months, let them get their things together. Let them put out an RFP the way it should have been done. Let them get proposals. We can give them 6 months to a year. This, when I saw this on the agenda, I was embarrassed to be a school board member. Embarrassed that anyone would treat our community members this way, as steamrolling operators. You want to build community?
Elizabeth, please do not slam.
I know, I'm sorry. Dr. Redmond, you want to build community? Here's your starting point right here. Partner with these folks. These are our leaders in our community. They are supervisors. They are highly professional secretaries. They have intelligence, they have integrity, and they want our help. If you vote yes for this, you are steamrolling them.
Okay, Butch.
Couple of things. First of all, Elizabeth, I'm highly offended with you saying we didn't know we controlled the tax office. I knew, I'm sure most of the board members knew that we controlled the tax office. By you saying that, I am offended. I have the floors. Second off.
Go ahead, sorry.
My question is, and I'd like to ask Nick to respond to this. Are we closing the tax office by voting on this? And the person that we're voting on to replace you, will she have a position? Or are we losing any additional positions from that staff? Are they losing their positions? Or are some people being moved to other positions in the district? There are questions I have.
Absolutely. So I agree there's some misinformation and I'm happy to answer any questions because you guys should have all the information. So you have a contract with the TCC. You are in most counties, the person who collects the taxes and the taxing bodies, the taxing authorities, and the TCC are three separate entities. In Keystone Central, since Act 32 was passed in 2008, Keystone Central has acted one in all three. The school board has had the tax collection body. They've been the majority tax authority, and they've had the leadership in the TCC. If your agreement that you have right now is for the tax office of Keystone Central School District, so a Keystone Central office that you are in charge of, to collect the earned income tax, that's all that Act 32 contemplates, to collect the earned income tax for the entire Clinton tax jurisdiction, which is mainly the entire county with a few nuances. If you cancel that agreement runs year to year unless both parties agree to get out of that agreement. If you cancel that agreement, all that would cancel is the earned income tax. That would require the TCC to find somebody else to collect the earned income tax. You have a board, have a variety of options on what to do with administration, what to do with staff. Some of that's actually left to the administration, not to the school board to decide as well. But the business privilege tax would not change unless you chose to change that. The local service tax would not change unless you choose to change that. The real estate tax would not change unless you choose to change that. Canceling the agreement that the Keystone Central School District has with the Clinton Tax Collection Committee only cancels the earned income tax collection. It's really up to the administration and the school board's budgeting and direction on what happens with staff. I can tell you that my job is not all tax office earned income tax. If the collection agreement was canceled, there would still be collections that need to continue because we're still into 2025. We'll still be collecting individual 2024 earned income tax payments until April 15th is the deadline, October 15th is the extension. Business privilege tax, unless you would choose somebody else for that, would still be collected and would still need staff. Local service tax would still need to be collected and have staff. Real estate tax is $25 million of collections that we collect between July 1st and December 31st. That would still need staff. Aside from those tax collection opportunities, if there was somebody who collected those taxes, that money would then be remitted from somebody that's not the school district to the school district. And there's accounting functions and oversight that needs to go into that, as well as all the administrative functions that I perform outside of the tax office with auditing and other school district functions that would still need to continue, and there would need to be an administrator for. Now, this is just my recommendation that the tax office would need to at least retain 2 people, which is all that's going to be left as of January 1st, if there was no earned income tax collection. And if you guys would choose somebody else for LST and BPT, there would still need to be somebody there for the administrative oversight. Lawsuits, you saw that your legal expenses were up this year. That's because we're in a $3 million lawsuit for taxes that are due. That's still going to happen, and you still need an expert and administrator to work through those things. So no, by closing the tax office doesn't necessarily mean that you don't need an administrator, but that would be up to the administration and the budgeting of the school district.
Butch, in
Okay.
regards to your statement. there-
Hold on a second. Tracy has a question.
So just stay where you are. September 25th, Finance Committee meeting. We did discuss all of this. Nick Kate brought us this whole 12-page presentation of the timeline of when all of this has started to be discussed, which was in 22, and gave us a timeline of discussions with the administration and everything. I'm pretty sure we discussed, or maybe it was at the TCC meeting, I heard it, that you were not required to get RFPs for proposals for outsourcing. You did not have to do that legally. We heard that from a person. So continuing to say that he did that on the secret and that was wrong is completely false. And then part of the options that we were given, we have been given options on what we can do, continue operate as is, continue to collect the EIT and invest in changes in the local tax office, appoint a new EIT collector, but continue collecting BPT, LST, and real estate, which is what the proposal tonight is to do, or appoint a new EIT, BPT, and LST collector, and then only collect real estate. Is it, correct me if I'm wrong, our tax office has not been profitable, is that correct? Have they been operating in the red?
It depends on the year. The year that check was bounced, certainly. We've had good interest income, as you've heard from some of the members tonight. We don't distribute money as often as others, and the interest rates have been very high recently. So we've been able to operate in the positive for the last few years, but there have been years we have operated in the negative, yes.
And I can just interrupt for a second. The general fund, the 23-24 audit, the fund balance, because we're cash basis in the tax office, the fund balance, the cash has a positive balance, but the fund balance for the tax office ending year June 24 has a negative $25,000 fund balance. So I just want everyone to be aware that's audited by Baker Tilly. They're their numbers. They audit everything. There's actually 2 audits that the tax office has, an Act 32 audit for EIT, and they also get audited through the general fund. So the auditors would pick up anything that was misleading or any type of wrong numbers or anything like that. The auditors go through them. So that's where it ended in June.
And then we also discussed in that meeting, the turnover of employees, how what's being left, employees will still have jobs, will still be needed to run the tax office. If we continue still collecting all these taxes, there's a lot of concerns that we have that's going to cost the district a lot of money to fix, which would then probably be passed on to the TCC delegates in the different municipalities, correct? So what we charge them could go up if we have to get new software and everything else, or we would eat it ourselves.
You would either eat it yourself or you'd have to negotiate a new agreement with the
With
TCC.
TCC, which could increase their things. So I mean, I'm kind of upset that it's being insinuated that you have not given us any information when you've given us a lot of information. And I'm just trying to reiterate this finance committee meeting because we were given cost breakdowns year to year with all the options that we have. We've had time to look at this and talk about it.
There's, if I could just add to what Tracy was saying.
Hey, Jeff, hold on a second. Chris?
Yeah, what you said about we are in charge of this whole thing. I agree with that, but this email that Nick said, the school district has no board decision, even if his plan included taxes not governed by TTC. So that's everything. And I'm gonna go on and read the two quick ones after that, because obviously Joni was concerned, because on May 6th, Joni emailed Nick and Christie with union employment concerns if they outsource. They decided to meet the following Monday to discuss. May 10th, Keystone Collections emails Nick and informs him that they included LST taxes in their proposal. Also, they want to include real estate and business privilege. If that's all included, we don't need a tax office. They're going to do it all. Now, I agree with what Tracy said. You have came to us a few times and discussed this and that. But the bottom line is, we never discussed with the TCC or amongst ourselves what options we can look at. What can we do to better it out?
The whole finance, what I just said, September 25th.
Have
have
we
to
met
look at our
with the
options.
TCC to discuss things with them of what we could do better?
That's what our delegates are for in the administration.
No, that's what the board is for.
Okay, Jeff?
Well, I guess my main concern is, I think what Brandon pointed out is what my concern is. We have, in the TCC's solicitor and lawyer that he brought in, the attorney they brought in to explain that, himself said, as Brandon had said, and it's very accurate, all the municipalities in this, that are in the whole county are paying the highest rate of commission in the state. Now, that's really saying something when you talk about 501 school districts, or how many counties we've got. And even with the 5%, the district is still coming up short in operating the tax office. And I think that it's becoming inefficient. And as Tracy said, are we gonna ask to raise the rate again, 6%, 7%, just so we can cover costs of the tax office? I don't know that there's very many others. I know Williamsport had an operation like this, and they just got out of the business. And I think that it's such a convoluted situation we have here with the way the tax office has operated for years here, as being enmeshed with the school district, and having the employees being part of the bargaining unit and tied into the increases in tax and wages through that. I just think that there's got to be a better way to do that. And I don't know that the school district needs to necessarily be involved in the tax office business.
I agree.
Okay.
We're in the
Hold on,
business to
Chris.
teach kids.
Bill wants to talk. Bill? Go ahead, Doc.
I want to make sure, I'm a little dense. I want to make sure I understand some of this stuff. Okay. What we're talking about, what's proposed is that this office that you run no longer collects the earned income tax for the TCC. Is that correct?
By the language, that's what it appears to me, but it's not my agenda item. So I would assume that, but I think that'd probably be a better question for the
Now,
administration or some of the other members.
If that happens, and presumably if we do that, we can save several percent on the income from what the quotes you got were. But we have other taxes to collect. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay, so that means if you weren't going on to be a lawyer and you were staying here, you'd still have to do that. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
That is correct. So we're still going to have expenses there. whether we do this or not.
That's correct. And that was
Okay,
part of
now-
that presentation to the finance committee, because there's some more nuances to that, which I'll only answer your questions, but there's some more nuances to that if you'd like me to get into that.
Well, my next question is gonna be, again, I'm not a good money guy. I'm not a good numbers guy with this, but bottom line is, are we better off keeping this as it is and getting some income from the TCC or cutting TCC's expenses, which will hurt our income, but we still have to maintain this office? And what's our bottom line? What are our expenses gonna be? Are we gonna be better off? You know, I mean, our primary, I'm not disagreeing with what this gentleman said earlier, okay? I mean, everybody's a taxpayer, but the 9 of us sitting here, our primary responsibility is to Keystone Central School District. So I want to know what I'm not, and yes, you've given these presentations and I've tried to understand them. And again, I'm not a good money guy. All right. I want to know which way we're going to end up with more money at Keystone Central. You know, if we get rid of this contract with the TCC and then figure out what to do with the other taxes we have to collect, or if we keep it.
So I think in that finance proposal, I laid out 4 different options and I put the exact cost to the school district under each of the 4 options. There is an option A, if the TCC continues to contract with the school district for EIT collection, 2 options. And then if they would choose a different EIT collector, 2 options, and costs for each. Because of the nuance of the school district being both the collector and one of the taxing authorities, there's some factors that go into that where you can make changes to the tax office as it stands right now. But some of those changes affect your general fund, even if the commissions don't change. For example, that rent figure that you're discussing tonight, if you authorize that to be paid, that's more money in your general fund, which means you have to have less real estate taxes to have your general fund staffed. And so you're funding your general fund with those rent payments out of commission that's paid by both municipalities and the school district. If you say, no, we want to eat that $52,000 cost in our general fund, now you're spending more general fund tax revenue and not as much from the tax fund, the tax office fund. So there's some changes there. If you just get rid of the earned income tax and you continue to collect business privilege tax, local service tax, and real estate taxes, there's some cost associated with collecting business privilege tax and local service tax, mainly software, that you would probably have to change your software to see a net benefit for it, because you're still going to be paying for a software that's expensive, but you're going to have somebody else collect your most profitable tax. I think to answer your question though, on by far the cheapest method is what 90% of the state does. And as of January 1st, you will be the only school district collecting earned income tax in the entire state. And I think the reason for that is because it costs so much more for school districts to do this job that other collectors can do. So by far the cheapest is to let somebody else collect your earned income tax and local service tax.
That's not my question.
Okay, I apologize.
At the end of the day,
yes,
we get tax revenues from multiple sources.
The tax office fund does. Your general fund does not.
Fine. How are we going to end up with the most? What I'm saying is if we're getting money from the TCC for collecting those taxes.
And as of right now, they only go
to. They may break the contract with us too, you know, so we're getting money from TCC. That's income to us. Okay, now we still need to have people collecting taxes.
Correct. So,
you know, what way are we going to have the most money? And I don't care. Don't talk to me about moving from one account to another, because that's the stuff that just goes completely over my head.
Right.
I want to know, if I go and find whatever piles of money they are, which one's going to be, how, you know, throw them all together, which one's going to be the biggest?
So in total, your biggest, if you add those 2 funds, would be to use somebody else. And the reason for that is somebody else would charge you 1.25%. Right now, the tax office does charge the school board, the general fund, 2.5%. So the school board also pays that. If somebody else collected it, they would charge you 1.25%. So right now, the tax office takes 2.5% from you to cover our expenses to collect the taxes. If somebody else was doing it, they would take 1.25% to cover their expenses to collect the taxes, and those expenses wouldn't be yours anymore. So you would have, your expenses would be gone and the charge for it would be less.
So,
Thank you.
Bill, if I could, and this is from the presentation that you provided to the board in the finance committee meeting on September 25th. I just pulled up that presentation. And in there, you provided 4 options. And the 4 options were continue as is. Option number 2, continue to collect EIT and invest in changes to our local tax office. Option number 3, appoint a new EIT collector, but continue to collect business privilege, local service and real estate taxes. And the 4th option is appoint a new EIT, BPT and LST collector. We would continue to collect real estate taxes. So the total approximate cost for each one of the options, option 1, where we continue operating it as is, cost the district about $580,000 a year. Option number 2, invest in the local tax office. It's between $650,000 $750,000 per year. Option number 3, which is continue collecting LST, BPT, and real estate. Approximate annual cost is $450,000, and appoint a new LST and BPT collection. And we retain real estate is an approximate cost of $395,000. So if I heard your question right, by these numbers, the way that the school district retains the greatest portion of collected taxes from all sources would be the 4th option.
So we're still gonna be in the real estate business or in the tax business,
No matter what.
per se.
Yeah, that's the case, and that's why, as Nick pointed out earlier, we're always going to need to have someone who's in Nick's position, right? An administrator, tax collector. We're going to need to continue that position at least.
Okay, Chris.
But this says,
Chris. Hold on a second, okay? Jeff actually asked to talk after
okay,
Doc,
go ahead.
so.
Sorry, I didn't know that.
Well, I think if you have, as Frank just pointed out, if you want to look at the most efficient way to do it and the cheapest way to do it, it would be that 4th option. You would still need to have, instead of having to have a staff of 5 people or even 2 or 3 people, you could manage if an outside, and I know that not everybody agrees with this, but if you have an outside or company collecting all 3, the BPT, the LST, and the EIT, probably missed too much of the alphabet there, but you have, and you maintain the real estate tax in-house, you still have people, an individual there that people can go to, that they can talk to if they have questions or whatever. If you're looking at strictly what is going to save the district and is the most efficient from a dollar standpoint, that would be the option to go with. And it's right now, it's just, I just think it's like I said before, it's not efficient what we're doing, and it's not cost effective. So.
Okay, Chris.
I got nothing else to say, Roger.
Okay, Elizabeth.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this is part of the misrepresentation of information, okay? When the TCC keeps hearing the school district is charging them 5% to collect the EIT taxes, that 5% is for all, it's called a blended rate, correct, Nick? That 5% covers all the other taxes that are being collected, right? That 5%?
No.
Even though, so we're also charging them a separate fee for business privilege tax, a separate fee for all the other ones.
Yes, we're charging 5%
Mhm.
to collect the earned income tax, period.
Right.
It's 5% of everything we collect for
Right,
Cassidy
okay, got it,
Township, for
okay,
Green
thank you,
Township.
thank you.
Same
So
with
then-
BP and
So,
LSD,
so what are we charging them for the business privilege tax?
5%,
Okay, so there's 5% for all of them,
correct.
okay. Unfortunately, those numbers are horrible. We're not gonna argue the point that those numbers aren't horrible. We did this to them, okay? Negotiated back when,
Uh,
whenever. So we know what the situation
Sorry,
is.
if you're asking for information, I'm not sure why
Oh.
why you're shutting him down.
Oh, I know, I
She's
wasn't
trying to
asking, I
provide
wasn't asking for when it started, because it's been going on for a while, the contract. But, what I'm trying to say is, when we don't have what I would call the figures that I would need to make an informed decision. Because when we had 5 people working in that office, and this has been said repeatedly, and if I'm wrong, please correct me, but even though they were tax office employees, 80% of their time roughly was spent on Keystone Central School District work and not working in the tax office. So you can't keep throwing this number. It's called blending strategically misrepresented numbers. You have 5 employees, but they're doing 80% of the work for Keystone and only 20% for the tax office.
I'm happy
So-
to, but I'll wait till somebody addresses.
Well, no, but that's what we've been told. But then on the flip side of the coin, we're told the tax office employees only do tax office things. They never do any work for Keystone. So what I'm trying to say, before we drag this out too far, we could talk about this for hours. That's the whole point, is we've never had a real discussion with real numbers. So bottom line, I am voting absolutely no, simply because this is a steamroller thing. I trust those people at TCC. They know they're going to eventually put out the right paperwork in a transparent, public way, and they're going to get the best price for all of us. Yes, please.
Okay.
It's up to Roger to do,
No,
not you.
it's my decision,
Oh,
not
okay.
yours. Thank you.
Roger.
Okay, Butch,
I just
go
have,
ahead.
I need someone to clarify her statements, because I really don't believe all 5 people did 80% of the work. I think, I'm getting old and a little senile, but I think the one person at the window, that was a blended position, part of their position. But if you could explain to us, please, how
Sure.
that works.
So I would never say that everybody in that office only does tax office work. It's all paid for out of the tax office, but certainly there's people in that office who do work for the district. That's unequivocally true. 80% is not true at all. It's probably closer to 20% for one position, and then probably closer to 40% for my position. So that's 2 positions that have a portion of the work that's being done for district activities that would still continue regardless of what happens with the tax collection. But when you talk about financials and those numbers that I provided, the only thing that does is if you say, well, no, that shouldn't be charged in the commission rate, which is true, it probably shouldn't be. But what that means is all it's doing is shifting it to come out of your general fund, which makes it more expensive for the school district. Right now, part of that's being paid by municipalities. If you say that's not right, which it's not, it just means it's more expensive for the district. So that rate that we're already saying is horrible now goes up because the school district has even more expenses than it has as of today.
Okay, Chris?
One last question, Nick. If we vote for the TCC to do their thing, get more money back to the taxpayers and all that, that's good. What if they decide to go do their own business privilege tax and the LST and everything else?
They can't.
They can't.
No.
So we're still gonna do that here.
Act 32 was created only for earned income tax, and it requires a TCC board, which is independent from the taxing authorities, to
Right.
choose who the earned income tax collector is for each jurisdiction. There's 60 jurisdictions that were set up throughout the state, and every TCC is the board responsible for choosing who the collector is for those authorities. In Clinton Tax Collection District, they engaged in an agreement, signed an agreement with Keystone Central School District to be that collector. If that, whether it's from the school board side or the TCC side or both sides, if that agreement is canceled, all that does is mean the TCC now has to go back and pick who the earned income tax collector is. The school board can't choose who that is. The TCC has to choose. The school board can choose whether they don't want to engage in that contract anymore, but they can't choose who the collector is. The TCC does. But the TCC cannot choose who collects business privilege tax for the school district. Those are resolutions and ordinances that the school district passed to say, yes, we want this taxing authority. We want to establish this tax, and it's your choice on who collects that.
So we have to pick them to do all that if we want.
You could engage with another collector. If, say, Keystone Collections comes in and takes over earned income tax, they would probably prepare a proposal for the school board and say, hey, if you want us to collect your local service tax, which is very similar in collection procedures as earned income tax, they would say, we'll do it at X% for you. And then you would have an option. Do I want to engage in a contract for them to collect that, or leave it with who's collecting it today?
Okay, are they gonna want to do real estate tax also?
They can provide that proposal. They do collect real estate taxes, but again, that's up to you
So if they
guys.
decide to do that, then we don't have our local office.
If you decide to do that. Now, real estate's a lot more expensive for somebody else to collect. Local service tax is not, business privilege tax is about break even.
So if we do this, and I'm gonna ask you folks, Noelle will still have her job and so will the other secretary, yes or no?
So I want to make sure I understand your question. So if the board chooses to no longer offer tax collection services to the TCC,
Right,
is that the premise of your
Mhm.
question? Then the way that the staffing has been moving around in front of the board later on is on the personnel agenda is to hire Noel into Nick's position when he leaves.
Mhm.
And then the administration's recommendation would be to reduce the number of staff in the TCC office when it's appropriate to do so after the dissolution agreement is worked out with the TCC. We would reduce the staff in the tax office. At this time, all of the folks who are in the tax office have the opportunity, who want to continue working in the school district under the same collective bargaining agreement, the same position, the same pay rate, the same benefits as they currently do.
Okay,
And if
are
you're-
we gonna give the TCC time to get all their stuff together
That is
and
what
using this office on top of it?
what was written in there, the recommendation for the administration isn't immediately, it's to close it as soon as practical. And that is, from my perspective, absolutely dependent on working with the TCC to see when it is actually practical to do that.
Okay,
Just for the board's consideration, because of retirements and staff moving on and changing positions, if this is extended very far, this negotiation with the TCC, we would have to rehire into positions. And then after the TCC chooses another tax collector and we choose whatever we're going to do, we may have to then furlough people that we've just hired into that position. So I
Does
just want
the
to make sure the board's
person-
aware of that.
does the person taking his position have all the certifications and the legalities and all that to even do it?
Yes.
She meets the qualifications under Act 32. And if you're okay with it, Mr. Scaff, I can't say what the administration will do, but I'm happy to tell you based on the workflow, what I think that office would need under each of those scenarios. If the school district continues with real estate, local service tax, business privilege tax, and then my administration duties that I need to do, that would require the two staff that are left to remain there. If the school district would choose somebody else for the business privilege and LST, then probably just the administrative person would be able to do my administrative duties plus the real estate collections, which would mean that the other person in that office would need to transfer into a different role. So that really depends on what the school board would do with other taxes if there was a different EIT collector. Now, what the administration does is up to them, but based on the workflow that I experience in the office, that's what that office would need. And that's those figures that I gave you. It was based on that staffing scenario.
Well, I want those two girls to keep their job.
And even if there's a new EIT collector, there would still be collections throughout the next year.
Okay. I have one.
Okay. Elizabeth?
Okay, thank you, I appreciate it. Again, my closing comment is, vote no for this, please, because have faith and trust that the TCC doesn't need any more stress on them. They will find the best price. I know those people and they will accomplish their goal. But by voting yes for this, even though you're gonna end up in the same place eventually, okay, you will. But by voting yes for this, you're sucker punching them again after what they've been through. And also, I also want to make sure that, you know, I appreciate what you said, Tracy, okay, about but we never had, like Chris said, a deep discussion in real fine numbers. So there were presentations, thank you. But again, please consider being a partner with TCC. It is completely unnecessary. They will get to where they need to go. We don't need to strong arm them with this. Thank you very much. Appreciate the conversation.
Okay, Chris, you had started a motion at the beginning of this discussion
To table it.
to table it.
Let the TCC get their ducks in a row.
Do you wish to proceed with that
Yes,
motion?
I do.
Okay,
Give
Okay, I
them,
have-
if they decide to go, that's fine. Because they're gonna do what's best for their municipalities and I'm good with that. But let them get their ducks in a row. Last night, they just appointed their new officers. They gotta get their feet into it and figure out what they wanna do.
Yeah, they're fired up.
okay.
Just give them a chance.
So there's a motion. Is there a second?
To postpone this? Yes.
To
Table it. Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
Yes, this one
Or
is a
should I
yes.
say table it for 6 months?
I'm not the one making the motion.
Okay, I'm gonna say I make the motion that we table this till June. And give them time to get their stuff together.
And we can rediscuss.
And then we can go back at it. And if they decide we want to do this on our own, no problem. They have their stuff together, they have time to work it out.
Okay, and Elizabeth, you're seconding that motion?
Absolutely, yes. This is a yes.
Okay. With that being said, okay, now that we have the motion and the second, we've already had the discussion, I would assume. Okay, can I get a roll call vote on that, please?
Mr. Allen,
No.
Mr. Johnson,
No,
Mr. Knopf,
No,
Ms. Lynch,
Yes, absolutely.
Mr. Scaff,
Yes,
Ms. Smith? No. Dr. Baldino,
Yes.
Mr. Cannon? Ms. Donahue?
No.
Okay, motion has failed. Butch, can you go ahead and make the motion then?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve G4. Recommended the Keystone Central Board vote to no longer provide tax collection service to the Clinton Tax Collection Committee as soon as practical.
Is there a second?
second.
Okay, since like we've already had said, okay,
One clarification,
okay.
because it doesn't say which taxes that we don't want to collect. So is it all three, EIT, LSTV, all of that, or just?
I
the
thought the
EIT?
TCC under Act 32 only allows for earned income.
It's just, or
Right.
just, okay,
Judge Rinkus,
thank
so
you.
it would be
I
a
just wanted to
future board
clarify.
discussion and decision about whether or not to think about a third-party collector for LST,
Gotcha.
EPT, and local real estate taxes.
Just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Okay. Chrissy, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Johnson,
Yes,
Mr. Knopf,
Yes,
Ms. Lynch,
No,
Mr. Scaff,
no,
Ms. Smith? Yes. Dr. Baldino,
No.
Mr. Cannon? Ms. Donahue,
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
5 yeses, 3 nos.
Okay, motion passes. Next,
at this time, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the added agenda item G5. It's a resolution to exonerate the 2024 school real estate tax penalties in the amount of $462.17 for the property control number 017-025-433.
I make that motion.
I made the motion. I just-
Oh,
You
I
second it?
seconded that. Sorry.
okay. There's been a motion and a second discussion. Okay. All in favor? Si-
yes.
Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Next up, we talk about the, okay, any discussion on the minutes?
Move that we accept all 4 of the minutes as is.
I
Okay,
second it.
all right, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay. There we go. Okay, next up.
Like to make the motion, we pass J1, the bills for payment.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Discussion?
Yeah, I got a couple of quick questions for Joni. On page 6, there's a entry there, a Best Buy settlement for a subscription renewal. What, can you tell me what that's for? Says Best Buy settlement subscription renewal.
What I'd like to do though is just take all of your questions and then I can respond to you. I don't know all these like off the top of my head. So if I go ahead and just take your information, then I can get back to you and let you know.
Well, that's not being real transparent. That's what
Okay,
we're here to
now,
be.
here's the thing though. What
I
I'm,
know, we're on a time crunch.
I'm not saying anything about that. What I'm saying is the fact that, okay, what I would like to see the board do from here on out is if there's any questions about any of the billing issues,
Mhm.
send an email to Joni. Okay, let her respond to it. And then at that point, during the meeting, when this comes up, you can again read off the email or the question you had. That way she can actually have a time to actually answer these questions. Because right now, whenever you ask like this, and she has no idea, that really doesn't, that's not fair to her and putting her on the spot like that, because like she said, she doesn't know without looking in and checking these out. Okay, so what I would request from the entire board is that prior to any meeting that we have, that if you have questions on the agenda or on the bills, please email Joni ahead of time so that way she can answer and respond back to the entire board. That way we're looking at what's best, you know, that way we're not looking like, okay, well, we don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on.
Well,
With her being able,
I disagree, but whatever.
It's a little unreasonable, I think, to expect Joni to memorize
It's not
58
unreasonable.
58 pages of bills.
It's not unreasonable for anybody out there that's on these TV screens. How do you answer their questions?
Same way.
same way, have them email, send in an email, and then they will get a response. And then once they get the response, if they have further questions, they can point it out during the visitors hearing or visitor time. Okay, hearing of visitors. And then they can state something there. Butch?
I just have a suggestion, perhaps that might solve everyone's issue. You have a list of questions on this.
Mhm.
As Joni asked, can you give her those list of questions? Then can we have Joni come back on the, I looked at my calendar, this went black again, January 9th meeting?
Yeah.
And then tell us what the answers to those questions are.
Well, it
Ask her-
doesn't matter then because we're already paying them. What if we say, no, we don't want to pay that?
So if you ask us, if you give us the questions ahead of the board meeting, give us a chance to do the research, then we can come to the board
Okay.
meeting with the answer.
Okay. So, yeah.
Whatever, just go ahead.
I understand what you're saying, but I will tell you this. If I think he's being reasonable, and I'm gonna explain why. Now, if he was sitting there, why did you buy 6 bags of Fritos? What is this bag of snacks? No, he's asking legitimate questions, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know about you folks, but for me to take another 30 minutes out of my day or longer to sit there, open it up, open my screen, type it all out, send an email, close my computer, come back. We are the board members, and if we have very specific questions, I think it's unreasonable to ask us to take up even more of our volunteer time to type all these particular things, and then we gotta check our emails, see when it comes back, then we gotta remember to say it during the meeting. If he's gonna sit there and ask 10, 15 questions, yeah, I think that's unreasonable. If he has maybe 3 or 4, I think that's reason, and if she can't answer it right now, that's no problem. I can't answer it right now.
And that's exactly what she's trying to say.
That's fine.
I can't answer it right now.
That's
And
fine.
we're saying, if you give us some lead time,
Mm-hmm.
then we can answer the questions.
Right.
We're not saying we don't want to answer the questions. We're not saying we don't want people to have answers to any questions about any bills ever. We want to make sure that we're being transparent. We're absolutely willing to answer any questions about this kind of stuff. We can't do it on the fly in a board meeting. There's no way that I can ask Joni or anyone else to memorize 58 pages of checks.
And as far as you saying that you can't take time out of your volunteer time,
No, I
okay,
didn't
well, whenever you actually, when you actually run, this is what you are expected to do. So if you look down through
That's
and
what
you
I
have a
did do.
question, right? However, when was the
Just
made active?
Put out the Monday before last, or so last Monday.
Okay, so
Mhm.
we've had all that time in between there to actually be able to send an email to Joni, ask her these questions, and then she could get back to you, and then you could bring the questions up during the meeting, and she can actually answer what she sent you.
Well, that's fine. It's
That way, we're being transparent
because
and we're
people
being
look at
open.
this, people look at this online, say, hey, ask what this is for. Doesn't
And-
make sense.
And by all means, have them ask.
So that's
If you
what I'm
ask
doing.
and submit, and she can respond to you, and then you can bring that up.
Then fine,
Butch?
I'll send it ahead of time and she can answer it in the meeting and we'll do it a second time.
Yeah, Butch?
No, unlike Elizabeth, I don't think it's too much to ask. If Chris has 15 questions, he has 15 questions. That's acceptable. We all take our time throughout our career in the school board and spend numerous hours going through all this stuff and looking it over. So saying it, you don't have time to take 15 minutes, I think it's a little ludicrous,
I did not
but
say
I
that.
think
I did not say that.
if Chris doesn't mind, could we ask Joni all the questions you have tonight and have her respond next month at the meeting on January 9th? So that way you get your answers, it's on the air, everyone knows what's going on. I know we're gonna already pass the bills, but at least you'll have the answers to your questions.
And no, I didn't say I don't have the time or I won't take the time. I will clarify, and please stop smirking.
What? You talking to me?
What?
I'm talking.
Please stop smoking?
No, excuse me. So bottom line, I think we've beaten this one up. I think let's just let a gentleman ask some questions. If he doesn't have the answer right now, that's fine, okay? But pinning these two people against each other is not helping right now. So let's just go
It's
through the
okay.
questions.
It's okay. I'll email it. Joni can answer it next meeting.
Well, I mean, you're here, we can ask the question, okay? And then she can get back to you with those questions.
Well, if you
But-
don't want to take the time, I'll just email her. That's fine.
I didn't say I didn't want to take the time. I just said that from now on, prior to the voting session, please email her with the questions. And then whenever you bring those questions up at the voting session, she will be able to respond. And that way, everybody knows what's going on,
Mhm.
okay?
Do you want me to ask them now or do you want me to email?
Go ahead, yes, but there again, she won't be able to answer them until,
She might be able to get a few.
Okay, Joni, page 6. Once again, a Best Buy settlement for a subscription renewal. I'm curious about what that is. On page 10, under EAI education, it says settlement. There's 19 different entries for that one for EAI education. And it says settlement. Is that 19 different settlements? Is it all one? And if it's all one, why not just break it down and put it under one? Because some of the things aren't on there. I don't see why they'd even be in a settlement, like sticky dots. What's that got to do with a settlement? I'm curious. if we go down to page 10, we have another East Burning Gray. 7,865 for legal services. I'm curious what that was for or what it pertains to. Down on page 46, under the tax office bills, we have East Burning Gray 870, and I was curious what that pertained to. And we had 4 entries for Nick for going to conferences. If he's leaving, why are we spending that money to go to conferences? And then my last one I have under the tax office, there's 4 entries for source for teachers for substitute clerical aides. There's 4 different dates and every date is a Saturday. Now I had a comment made to me by an employee of why is somebody in there on a Saturday from another company doing stuff when we are closed?
So that's not the work date. That's accounts payable. That's the date that she ends paying the bills for that week. That's how she can keep track of when the bills come in.
Well,
So that's
check-
not a work date.
But the check date is different.
Yes, because she enters the bills prior to the check date.
Oh.
It's a process that she uses to keep track. It has nothing to do with the date
That
that the
looks
subs
just
work.
like you use that aid on this date. It's exactly what it looks like.
Understood, but that is not what it means. That's the accounts payable process. I can have her change that process, but that doesn't mean these people work on Saturdays. They don't.
Okay, Butch?
I just want to double check something because I think I saw under the one that you said about 11/1/24 being a Saturday. I think it says the date they're beside it, 10/19/24. So that's the end of the pay period. So basically, they're all the end of the pay periods,
Okay,
not the date they worked.
right, but
Okay.
if you look at it on the screen, it looks like you used that clerical aid on that day.
Yes.
So it's just an assumption based on not having the information.
That's
Now-
why
now
I'm
you have-
asking.
Right, now we have the information, so you don't.
Okay. That's it.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay, Elizabeth, go ahead.
Just, can someone just explain to me, please, why, just very briefly, just so everyone knows, because some people aren't happy out there when they see this. Why do we have substitute clerical aides working in a restricted tax office? Please, just once and for all, just tell everyone the reason why.
Go ahead, Nick.
Oh, anyone, please, let's just end this conversation.
So as we talked about, we have specifically one job in the office that does a lot of work for district work, mainly where people come into the building, they need to be greeted, they need to be sent to the right place. There's also some other jobs associated with that, such as filing, opening mail, all of that. We're down to 3 employees of our 5 right now, and we need some help with some of those jobs. That clerical aide who came in, it was one person. She signed a confidentiality agreement. She was bonded to be covered so she can work in that confidential
Is she
office.
looking for full-time work?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. That was rude, sorry.
No,
Go
that's
ahead.
okay. I don't know the answer to that question though. But that's what that person did. They helped out with a few of those jobs in the meantime,
Right.
because we have very highly qualified trained people in that office.
Yes, you do.
And when we're down staff, we don't want their time being used on activities that don't utilize those skills.
Right, so this person is sort of doing taxes, and they're also sort of helping Keystone.
They're not doing
filling
any
in.
taxes, no.
Okay, so they're only working for Keystone, but they're being charged under the tax office.
I mean, they're doing
I-
activities that are always charged under the tax office. They're opening tax office mail, they're filing in the tax office, they're,
Okay.
typing up envelopes that go out to taxpayers,
Okay,
but they're not doing tax preparation.
see, that's, thank you, Nick. That
You're
is the problem that they never separated out these things, but worry about that another day.
Okay.
And I just want to make a comment. This was also at a request, and I thought it was you, Elizabeth, but from the board that we get a sub in there so that the other girls that are doing tax work don't have to work the window. So that is why we actually have a sub in
Well,
there
whoever's-
to work the window.
Whoever's helping, whoever's idea it wasn't mine, but whoever's, great, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Get a motion?
We already had a motion and second.
Oh, wait, it's motion and second. That's right. This is discussion. Okay. Go ahead and Christine, you do a vote, please.
What's the motion?
Approve the bills for.
To approve
Approve the bills for payment.
J1,
Ms. Lynch,
yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yeah.
Ms. Smith. Yes. Dr. Baldino.
Yeah.
Was that a yes?
Yes.
Mr. Cannon, Ms. Donahue,
Yes.
Mr. Elling,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Knopf.
Yes.
Eight yeses.
Okay.
Butch?
Head too far. I'm in a hurry to get home. I'd like to make a motion for J2, accept the quote from K12 for the Liberty Curtain Furniture Project, not to exceed $343,740.63 to be paid from the capital fund.
I'm seconding that. Sorry, Tracy, that one's mine.
I'm sorry, Polly. I should have let you have that. Sorry.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Discussion.
Is that the only bid we got? Did we get bids from other people? $343,740.63.
K-12 is part of a cooperative purchasing agreement that's approved by the state. So CoStars is the
Right.
program they operate under. So they're part of the CoStars program.
I'm very
The-
well
the-
aware with those.
So the pricing, best pricing is vetted at the state level.
Okay, but is there any other companies that could do better? Because when I did CoStar's bids for the borough, I still got different bids and we went with the best one.
Yeah, we often will do that with CoStars. In this particular instance, there was considerable time and effort that required for this contractor to do, K-12 to do, to help us work through what's called an EdSpecs process with our team. And that was for the price that they were able to offer us better than we saw other companies being able to offer, which was more specifically product oriented.
Okay. And where's that money, which account, where's that money coming out?
That's part
Is
of the
that
overall bid for the project. It was built into the cost of the.
That's what I was
project.
wondering. Okay.
And
That's
it's-
it.
Okay. Any other questions, discussions? Okay, got a motion and a second. Get a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Ms. Smith. Yes. Dr. Baldino,
Yes.
Mr. Cannon, Ms. Donahue,
Yes.
Mr. Elling,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Knopf,
Yes.
Ms. Lynch.
Yes, but with a comment,
That was during the discussion period.
but
So
when I'm
yes
done,
or
I'd like
no?
to say why I voted
Go ahead.
yes. I'm voting yes because I'm thinking about Polly, but I'm also voting yes because I know the teachers really want this and the principals really want this. But to be honest with you, I don't like voting yes because I still don't agree that they couldn't have reused other items. And I wish this would have been a lower cost because since they're buying all new, but I'm voting yes because those folks really want it. Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. All right. Christine,
Eight members, yes.
okay,
Sorry.
motion passes. Okay, Butch,
Make a motion, we pass K1. See, motion to approve the human resource recommendations as presented in exhibit.
A second.
Motion and a second discussion. Okay. Let's just do a straight up vote, voice vote. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, next.
Make a motion, we approved. Make sure it's worded correctly. To deny the request to voluntarily delete instructional 2 mental and or physical handicap K-12 certification from her PDE teaching certification. So the motion is to deny her the request to remove her special ed certification.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. We got a motion and a second. Discussion.
I don't understand what that's about. If somebody wants to take something off her teaching certificate,
Yes.
why would we deny that? And what would be the reason for taking it off?
I don't know that I'm in a position to speak for why she wants to take it off. It would be supposition. I don't know that's fair to the member.
Okay,
In terms of on the administration side, one of the things that management is in charge of is assigning people to task based on their certification. And it reduces our flexibility. We have no intent on reassigning this person. But in the case, if in a couple of years down the line, if she doesn't have that certification, it reduces our ability to cover what may be a critical role.
okay, so well, what if at that point in time, she says, oh, fine, then I quit?
That's speculation. I don't know if
Okay,
that'd be
I'm just
right.
curious, because I've never heard of somebody
never
being denied. That
Yeah, I've
was a
never
little
seen
different.
Okay, Bill?
I agree that forcing somebody to do a job they don't want to do is not a smart move.
Mhm.
I know of multiple teachers over 3 states that have quit for just this reason. Some of them quit teaching completely. Others left the districts they were in. I'm not sure this is a smart move.
I'd hate to have somebody in a position that they don't want to do because that could lead to problems.
Yeah, I still-
I agree with that.
yeah, that's why I don't understand what we're voting on. I know.
What we're voting on is, she
The
wants
board
to
has-
have her special education certification taken off. But the rules are that if she has taught, am I understanding this right, Frank? If she's taught in the last 5 years, we have to give her permission
We
to
have
take
to
it
agree
off.
to it.
So I want to give her permission. If that's what she wants to do, I want to give her,
Yeah.
so how am I supposed to vote? I want to give her permission. It's a free world, okay?
Then vote no on this. I
So
think.
vote no. Okay, so make sure I got that right. Thank you.
Go ahead,
Can I-
Jeff.
I don't really think that the administration has any intention at all to force this individual into a special education position. I think what I think Dr. Redmond is trying to say is that the administration needs the flexibility in case this down the road somewhere that we really, because special ed teachers are not that easy to find. So if for some reason that they would need to use her in a special ed position, not saying that they're going to, but that limits them as to one less person that they could be using. So that's the rationale behind it. And you just they need to have that flexibility to be able to use the staff in the best way they see possible.
And also with the special ed, if we're lacking in a position, that opens us up for lawsuits.
Butch?
Yeah, I just went back to the personnel list. We're actually having 2 special ed teachers retiring this year. And as we know, they're not that easy to find anymore. It's one of them positions that's very difficult to come by. So and I didn't see any being hired, so we're losing two.
But
And
at
and
this
again, we have
point-
no intention of moving this person back into a special education teaching role, even given the upcoming retirements.
All right, got a motion and a second. Get let's get a voice vote. Roll call.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Dr. Baldino,
No,
Mr. Cannon, Ms. Donahue,
Yes.
Mr. Elling,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Knopf,
Yes.
Ms. Lynch,
No,
Mr. Scaff.
No,
3 noes, 5 yeses.
Motion passes. Next,
I'm just trying to figure if we can do all these at once. All right, L1 athletics.
motion to pass it.
Make a motion to approve L1.
okay. There's a motion, second.
One second.
Okay, motion and second. Discussion. Okay. Roll call vote.
Dr. Baldino,
yeah,
Mr. Cannon, Ms. Donahue,
Yes.
Mr. Elling,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Knopf,
Yes.
Ms. Lynch,
yes,
Mr. Scaff,
Yes,
Ms. Smith.
Yes.
Yeses.
I can make a motion that we approve L1 an overnight field trip for the
that's
central.
L2.
Oh, I'm sorry, L2. No, we did L1.
Motion to
Listen, it's late.
approve.
I've been sick. Overnight field trip L2 for the Central Mountain High School a cappella assembly at Mifflintown, February
Motion
14
to
and 15.
approve.
No, I made the motion.
Oh, second.
Butch never made the motion. I'll discuss it later. Okay.
Motion second.
Okay, all those in favor,
Aye.
signify by saying aye.
aye,
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, L3, course guide. Make a motion that we approve the following recommendation of the board, the motion to approve the course guide as presented in exhibits presented.
Okay,
I'll second that.
okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion.
yes.
Go ahead.
Oh, you've been so patient. I've been waiting to ask you this question. This looks beautiful. Thank you. Okay, sorry. Page 4. Please help me to understand. Okay. I'm just trying to understand. This is not a finger pointing or anything like that. I'm just trying to understand. Why would we have 4 credits of social studies when we seem to be scoring low in the things like math and science? Why would social studies again be 4 credits when math or science is 3? Is there? It just seems.
Am I on? Ooh.
Yep, you're on.
Sorry, I'm a little sleepy back here. So 4 for social studies, that's, I think, and these graduation requirements were done before I came, so I can't speak to the intentionality behind the original
Yep.
intent, but the civics and government course is a requirement by the state, and students usually take that in their junior year. It is linked to the Act 35 required exam for civics that the state has. And so typically then our students take some social studies electives in their senior year, with the exception of our CTE students who are opted out of a social studies credit there. On honestly, we are sort of talking about our graduation requirements as a whole right now, as part of a bigger conversation with scheduling and graduation requirements and career pathways and future CTE programs and future career demands to see, does this really align with what our students need long-term? So I think that'll be an ongoing discussion that we'll have and be bringing to the curricular co-curricular committee as well in the future.
Right.
But in terms of students either have to have for math or for science, and they get to choose. And I think at that time, the intentionality was to give students a choice between picking, do they want to take the extra math or the extra science? But I think in the past, we valued that civic component of them having social studies every year, and understanding governmental structures and things like that. So I think at the time it just aligned with what was valued. But that's a constant conversation of what it will look like moving forward.
Okay, that was well explained and deeply appreciated. But I will say this, just from, I would like the administration well, I should say the curricular committee to consider working with you and everything. But if we're deficient score-wise in our math and science, maybe that's just something students should take some more of. So that's their discussion to have. But thank you.
All right. So we've got a motion and a second. Okay. All in favor, do a voice vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No. Okay.
M1, MOU with the ESP professional development hours. Basically changing because of the hours they worked that reflected in the contract. So it's just changing it complete up to 14 hours of pre-approved professional development.
All right. Got a motion?
Sorry.
Second. Okay. Discussion? None? Okay. Just do. You have a discussion item? Oh, okay. I
Just wanna let you know.
just wanted,
Mhm.
okay. Okay. Motion and a second. All those in favor, do a voice vote, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? No. Okay, Elizabeth? go
Thank you
ahead.
very much. I'm not sure how to handle this, but our policy says we're supposed to do our committees during the reorganization meeting. So I don't know how president is going to do this, but I just wanted to let you know that. And
Okay, so I was gonna address this afterwards, but I'll do it here now.
yeah, please.
What I would like you to do, every board member, okay, give me the three committees that you want to be on, okay? And what I'll do is I'll take a look at that and I will try to accommodate everybody to be on the committees that they want to be on, all right? Send me the email, that way I can get this stuff done and out of the way as quick as possible. Okay?
Well,
Yep.
okay, so if we get put on a committee that we don't want to be put on, we just keep emailing back and forth, is that,
You give me,
so you won't put us on a committee we don't want, obviously?
no, I'm
Yeah,
not gonna put you
yeah.
on it, just give me the list of committees that you want to be on.
Okay.
All right?
Mhm.
And I'll assign you guys as needed. And then, once you guys are on there, what you got on the first meeting that you guys have,
Pick a chair.
that's whenever you guys choose your chair,
Mhm.
okay?
Yep.
All right,
Motion to adjourn.
second,
Second.
done.
Don't need a second for adjournment.
I know.